friends, before I begin my prepared remarks, I do want to make a comment about being in the Louis Goldstein building. When I was a young Democrat, we had a lot of interface with the controller. And Louis Goldstein would grab your hand and say, look at your name tag and say, Lou, so nice to see you. Well, we created a game. We put our name tags on the right side. Mr. Controller, Louis, how are you? He would be at a loss for words because he couldn't read your name. Anyway, thank you for inviting me to participate in this commemoration of International Holocaust Remembrance Day. My name is Lou Pohoryles. I was born in Lviv, Poland, now Lviv, Ukraine, in March 1937, and I'm 87 years old. I was formerly named Ludwig Pohoryles, but when I came to the United States, my great aunt who was here wanted to Americanize my name and became Louis. I came to the United States in 1947 as an undocumented, illiterate, 10-year-old Polish-speaking orphan who did not know the alphabet or even simple numbers. My father was a well-known Polish athlete, both in tennis and as an international table tennis player. We call it ping pong, who won medals in various European and world championships competitions. When I was about 5 years old and Germany entered Lviv, my father found separate hiding places for me, for himself, for my mother, who, by the way, had me when she was 20 and perished before she hit 26, and for other members of the family. Ultimately, my parents were betrayed by the son of the Polish woman who hid them, and both my parents were killed by the Nazis. I was first hidden in an attic of a Polish family with other Jews. There were several Jewish families and a few adult individuals hidden there. My parents paid the owners of the house and arranged for one of the families to take care of me. There I experienced almost unbearable hunger. That was and is one of the most vivid recollections. Well, in that attic, we learned that a war horse had died in a street near our hiding place. The adults and other people from surrounding buildings descended on the corpse of the horse during the night, salvaged the meat, and we were adequately fed for a short time. Also, I was hidden there. I had hernia surgery in my groin area without anesthesia. I remember the lice, the smell of pails full of our excrement, and the constant fear of discovery. The hernia surgery was performed on a table under the light of a single bulb. My father brought with him to that attic 4 men and a doctor. The men held down my limbs as the doctor performed the surgery. I had been given some whiskey to sedate me, and I gagged so I would not scream. My father subsequently removed me from that hiding place and turned me over to a Polish woman named Rosalia Belecka. She took me out of Lviv and turned me over to a deeply religious Catholic woman named Anna Boska. Boska in Polish means of God. And I wonder whether she was a nun. And then Rosalia went back to Lviv to save another Jewish child. thought we could handle it, I'm sorry. Both women did that without recompense. I believe that they both may have been nuns, as they referred to each other as sisters. I had to remember my false Polish name, Zbyszek Jabłonski. Anna Boska helped me out to others as her nephew. She and I traveled through the countryside to a small Polish farm village where she had relatives. It was there at an age of about 5 or 6 that I witnessed the deeply traumatic horrors of xenophobia and ethnic cleansing. Many mornings, a horse-drawn wagon would leave the village, travel to a nearby small Polish farm, Polish Catholic farm, and bring the bodies of women, men, and children slaughtered during the night by Ukrainian partisans for burial in the Catholic churchyard. To this day, I am equally as haunted by that sight as I am by the times that I spent hiding in Lviv in the attic. Sometime after, I guess in late 1943, and I can't crystallize dates because I was a little kid, I didn't know dates. Anna Boska was shipped by rail cattle car for slave labor in Germany. She brought me with her. At that time, Germany's workforce consisted mostly of women and Gentile foreign slave laborers, as German men were in the military. Anna was made to work as a cook on a very large German farm owned by a very prominent Nazi, and I lived there with her. While there, I had the run of the farm, played with the children of other foreign slave laborers, and all the laborers were slaves there, and ate well because Anna was the farm cook. She was later transferred to work at a nearby Krupp munitions plant, though we still lived on a farm. Sometimes in the spring of 1945, German soldiers and tanks moved onto the farm and set up trenches and rock fortifications. After a time, we hid in a cellar while we listened to the noise of war. We heard gunfire, booming explosions, and tank and plant engines. One morning, perhaps a couple of days later, we came out of the cellar to see dozens of field graves, consisting of dirt and rocks covering fallen soldiers of both sides, with rifles stuck in the ground by attached bayonets and helmets and dog tags hanging from the rifles. After a time, the children were sent back to the cellar. When we again emerged, the field graves were gone, and most of the unused munitions had been removed. But we still found boxes of grenades, the German potato masher type, with which to play until they too were removed. We were overjoyed, and this is in the spring of 1945. Not only were we free, but among our liberators were Polish paratroopers who accompanied the British paratroopers in the battle. We were transferred to a non-Jewish displaced persons camp in a nearby tiny village named Klausheide, and we lived there in a gigantic hangar that was converted to a dormitory for freed foreign slave laborers. They were from many countries that had been invaded by Germany. The only privacy was afforded by sheets strung on clotheslines by the few people who, after years of slavery, had retained some modesty. At some point, we were relocated to a nearby UNRWA, United Nations Refugee Relief Association, displaced persons camp where I lived until 1947. While there, I was baptized and served as an altar boy in a Catholic church. My father's brother, my Uncle Oscar, had survived in his sewers under Lviv. Well, he was in the infamous Janowska work camp, Polish Janowska. Before he escaped to the sewers, the Nazis had killed his wife and his 2 children. Uncle Oscar kept meticulous track of all family members and their fates. He knew that I had been taken to Germany and found me by calling UNRWA records in the UNRWA headquarters in Paris for the non-Jewish DP camps in Germany, and found a woman with a boy who wasn't her own in a camp near Klausheide, and he reclaimed me in 1947. He brought me with him to Manhattan, where my great-aunt had emigrated, by adding me to his transit visa for the ultimate destination of the Dominican Republic. We were slated to go after a stopover in New York. Through a private law pushed through Congress by the representative from Manhattan, Saul Bloom, who was then chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, I was permitted to stay in the United States. It was then I learned the importance of what you do in politics. I guess, who knows? Had I gone to the Dominican Republic, I might have come back to the United States anyway, as a baseball player. We stayed in correspondence with Anna Boska until her death, but that was just a few years after we were separated. She has been recognized at Yad Vashem in Israel as a righteous Gentile. I learned from Uncle Oscar that the Holocaust brutally claimed the lives of my parents and most of my relatives. Among those killed were my grandparents on both sides, their many siblings, 3 of my father's brothers and their families, my mother's 2 brothers, many cousins and other members of the extended family. Each of those lost lives had experienced brutal treatment and execution by various means, either by German Nazis or the Ukrainian Nazi collaborators, or by the many other Eastern European anti-Semites and Nazi collaborators. I will name the Poles, the Czechs, Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians, Hungarians, and there were others. Because I was an illiterate and Catholic when I came to New York, I was placed in an Orthodox Jewish day school that offered boarding accommodations. I was taught Judaism, started my secular studies as an illiterate 4th grader at the age of 10. And after skipping a grade, I graduated from 8th grade and was awarded the American Legion Medal that was awarded to one 8th grader from each elementary school. I attended high school and college in New York City and supported myself by waiting on tables in the Catskill Mountains. I came to Washington for law school and met my wife, Libby. We were married in DC and we lived there until 1966 when we moved to Prince George's County. Well, in law school, I worked for a law firm in Washington as a part-time law clerk. And on graduation, I continued to work there as a lawyer. I became a member of the DC Bar in 1964, and in 1966, I was asked by the firm to take the Maryland bar exam, which I did on 3 weeks' notice, and was excited to read in the newspapers that I scored the highest on the bar exam of all candidates who took the exam with me. In 1974, I founded a law firm in DC. And throughout the years, I maintained a national law practice and represented clients in many states and abroad. I am now a retired partner of a successor national law firm in which I'm proud that one of your members of the House is also a partner, although I'm a retired partner. I think I know only 1 or 2 people in the Washington office and maybe 3 people or 5 people in other offices. They're all, I guess most of them, my colleagues have retired. In the 1960s, and this is my political piece, while I lived in Prince George's County, I became active in the Prince George's County and Maryland state politics. I am past president of the Prince George's County Young Democrats. I was elected by the voters of Prince George's County to the County Democratic State Central Committee and represented the County Central Committee on Executive Board of the State Democratic Party. I was campaign chair for Governor Pally's Glendenning, and over the years I served on a number of state boards and commissions. And you will want to hear this. In 2002, I served on a General Assembly Compensation Commission when it was first recognized that the time commitment of legislators deserves adequate compensation.
Thank you.
I also worked closely with my friend Steny Hoyer in his early campaigns for the state Senate and then Congress, and with Mike Miller and many other prominent Maryland public servants of that time. My family moved to Bethesda about 40 years ago. I'm proud to say I've been represented by a number of you here, including the Lieutenant Governor. And I now live in a retirement community in Gaithersburg. I have been married to my wife, Libby, for 63 years.
Wow.
Unfortunately, she is not able to be here. She's in memory care in Montgomery County. And we have 3 adult children, all of whom are here and all of whom live in Montgomery County. And we have 7 grandchildren. Thank you.